ton of sourdough discard sitting around, you've got to make these absolutely soft and fluffy sourdough discard rolls. I'm Amy. I run a website called amybakesbread.com, and I teach you how to make incredible sourdough recipes. This is a discard recipe, so it's a recipe you could use when you wanted to find something to use up a lot of your sourdough discard. These rolls are super soft, they're tender. They have been a #1 recipe on my website for probably 5 years running. They were super popular on Pinterest, and they still are. I hope that you love them. They're very easy to make. They have a little bit of a secret ingredient in here, so if you can guess it, you're gonna know why these are the softest sourdough discard rolls. Let's make them. I printed out the recipe from my website. It's amybakesbread.com, and you can find these soft white rolls with sourdough discard on there. I love going to the website to get them because you also can see other people that have made them. Go in the review section, leave a review if you love them, and also go read what other people have said about them, because sometimes that can help you if you're thinking like, oh, can I make it this way or this way? And I haven't addressed it. I try to address everything that I can, but sometimes other people have really good feedback to leave as well on the recipe. So go check that out. Anyway, I've printed off my recipe, and I am going to start mixing up the dough. So I've got my bowl of my stand mixer, and I'm using my Anchor Strum mixer today. I have actually I have 4 different stand mixers that I love. I even have a YouTube video all about these stand mixers. They're some of the really popular ones that I have used in my home for most of the many years. Go check it out if you are interested in stand mixers. While we mix up our dough here, I always like to use a scale. So I put my bowl on the scale, and then I tear the scale, and we're gonna start with our sourdough discard. This uses almost a full cup of sourdough discard, which is one of the reasons that this has been the most popular recipe on my website for many, many years. Another reason, they're quick, they're easy, and they taste so pillowy, soft, and delicious. One of my favorite discard roll recipes are these. Got my discard in there. I had to pull out a little bit because it went a little over, so I just pulled it out, and then I can stick my discard bowl back in the fridge where I keep adding to it and using from it, you know, pancakes, all the yummy things. But I got my discard in there. We're gonna add the milk. I warmed this up already. Whoops. And then we put in our granulated sugar, just a white sugar, and the instant yeast. I like using instant yeast when I am using a commercial yeast. It works really quickly. You don't have to wait for it to activate or anything like that. I do like to give it probably like 5 seconds. I can smell it. It is active. It's ready to go. So I just like that little double check to make sure that my yeast is working. If you wanted to use a dry active yeast, you'd want to activate it first with that warm milk and the sugar probably, and you'd mix the dry active yeast in there and let it bloom maybe 5 to 10 minutes, get frothy, bubbly, then you would add it to the bowl. With instant yeast, you can just add it straight into the bowl, which is what we did. Okay, now we're gonna add in our melted butter, a little bit of salt. I just use a table salt for this recipe. And then this is one of those like, not secret ingredients, but the ingredients that really make these super soft and fluffy is the cornstarch. So I put cornstarch in here, about 20 grams. It acts kind of the same as like potato flakes would or potato would in a recipe, and it just makes them really, really soft. So that's why I add the cornstarch. If you don't want to add cornstarch, you can just sub with regular flour. They'll still taste really good. They just may not be quite as soft and fluffy. And then we add in our flour. Now, years ago when I was developing this recipe, I used all-purpose flour instead of a bread flour. But over the years, I have bread flour more and more in my kitchen, and I just think it gives a little bit of a chewier, more roll texture, like still very, very soft, but springier, chewier, a little bit more rise. So I like to use bread flour, but you can also use all-purpose if you want to. Okay, I hold back about 25 grams of the flour. I'm gonna mix it up and add that flour in as I'm kneading the dough, just to make sure I don't over flour the dough, because I don't want my rolls to turn out tough. I want the dough to be tacky, not overly sticky, and I'll show you what that looks like. The bowl fits right onto this Anchor Strum mixer, and you just adjust paddle in here. and the roller. Not a paddle, it's a roller. Tighten it down and off it goes. We're gonna pause it for a second and check this dough out. We want to get kind of this window pane here and see how that's tearing. That means it's not ready. The dough needs to develop a little bit longer. So we're gonna let it keep mixing, but this feels really good. It's tacky, it's not overly sticky. So it was good that I held back a little bit of that flour. Discard can vary in how runny it is or how much moisture it has. So sometimes just holding back just a tiny bit of flour can help. So if you do end up over flouring your dough, you could drizzle in a little bit of water or milk just to help get it to the texture that you want. But this is perfect. It's nice and tacky, not overly sticky. We're gonna let it go a little bit longer to develop that window pane. Okay, a little more kneading here. Let's see how this dough is developing. Still not quite there, but it's close. See, that one broke, but that's getting to window pane, which just means that you can see through it, kind of like a window pane. So a little bit longer, we'll be good. All right, I pulled that up. It looks pretty good, pretty window pane. You could let this go for another couple of minutes, but I'm going to pull it out and let it rise. Here's the dough. I'm sticking it in this container. I like to just cover it with a shower cap. We're gonna let this rise. It'll probably take about an hour. Could be a little bit longer, depends on how cold it is in my kitchen today. And then we'll shape them into balls. In about an hour, let them rise again before we bake them. My dough has risen. It's ready to be shaped. It's doubled in size. So we're gonna go ahead and shape up these rolls. Now in my recipe, I actually recommend that you bake these in 2 smaller 8-inch pans. And today I'm actually gonna do them in 1 larger 12-inch pan because it makes about 16 rolls. So you could do them in a 9x13, or you could do them in the 2 8-inch pans. They just look really pretty when you do them in those 2 small pans. But I'm gonna try to fit them all in a 12-inch pan today, and I think they're gonna turn out great. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this dough into 16 pieces. You want about 50 grams per piece of dough. So it makes really nice little sized rolls here. Once you have your 16 pieces of dough, you're gonna shape these into a roll. And the way that I do that, I put it in my hand and I try to like pinch it up just a little bit and go around in a circle like this. And then I take it and I roll it on the countertop to just seal in the dough ball, just like that. And I'm gonna stick it in my pan. Okay, I've got all my dough balls, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick them in my pan. Looking at that, I don't think this is gonna fit very well in this pan. So I'm gonna actually move them to a smaller pan. Okay, I have a few pan sizes here. Let's see what they would be like in this guy. Actually, they would fit probably pretty nicely in a 9 by 13. I just have one little extra that I could tuck in with some of these smaller ones here. So you could do it that way. I think I'm gonna try it in my 10-inch pan just because I like the look of them being nestled together a little bit more. So instead of using 2 8-inch pans, which is what I've done before, I'm using one 10-inch. I thought the 12 would work, but seeing the dough in there, no, I don't think it will. All right, that looks actually quite perfect. So we're gonna use this 10-inch pan. I'm gonna go ahead and cover it and let these rise until at least doubled in size. I preheated my oven. My rolls have risen. Look how nicely they're touching each other. These are ready to go in the oven. About 25 minutes, we will check them, check the temperature of the inside, make sure that they're done, and then rub some melted butter on top. Now, if you wanted to egg wash them, you could egg wash them right now. I like to rub melted butter on top instead, but you could do it either way. I'm checking the temperature, and these are like over 200, so we are good to go on these gorgeous rolls. I love to butter up these rolls right after they come out of the oven. Gives them a nice sheen, makes them a little bit softer too. I think this 10-inch pan honestly was kind of perfect for these, so I'll be making them again and updating my recipe online. It is so hard waiting for these discard rolls to cool. They are literally the softest rolls you're ever gonna eat. Oh, pulling one apart. This is just perfection. Wow. Okay, I gotta take a little taste. So soft, just so soft. Scraping the bottom of my jam jar. Because man, I love a little bit of jam and a soft, fresh, homemade roll. That's heaven. I hope you make them. I hope you love them. I hope you go get that discard out of your fridge and use it.